Oh, hey, welcome to Sci-Fi Sundays. I am Jacob, and today I want to talk about zombies. With the likes of The Walking Dead, one of the most popular TV shows on US cable, the zombie genre is more popular than ever. The movies and TV shows are being pumped out left, right, and center, and let's not forget about the video games. I mean, who here isn't excited for Dying Light 2? The term zombie comes from the Haitian folklore, where a zombie is a dead body reanimated through a variety of methods, usually magic. In modern day depictions, methods such as radiation, experiments with chemistry, pathogens, fungus, mental diseases, aliens, accidents, and so on are used to explain the cause behind the reanimation. The English word for zombie was first recorded in 1819 by poet Robert Southey. He is the guy who created the first Goldilocks story, or the Three Bears in the Woods, but that's unrelated. In his book The History of Brazil is where you will find the first print of the English word zombie. The Oxford English Dictionary states that the origin of the word zombie is West African and compares it to the Congo words Nzambi, meaning God, or Zumbi, meaning fetish. I'm definitely mispronouncing those things. So Haitian-like voodoo zombies have been in literature for ages, as have people coming back to life from the dead in some sort of zombie form. But what was the first zombie in film? White Zombie in 1932 is considered the first ever zombie movie, and in this film there were again voodoo-like magic-controlled zombies. Many films along these lines popped up over the years, including spells, crazy people, aliens, mind control, and so on. However, in 1968, the zombie genre was turned on its head with the introduction of a new concept: flesh-eating zombies that, when bit, turn you into one of them as well. This was, of course, introduced by George A. Romero's classic film, Night of the Living Dead. This movie moved away from the Haitian voodoo and introduced the idea of the infected, the disease turning all those bit or scratched into the undead monsters who are hungry for human flesh. This film was at least partly inspired by Richard Matheson's 1954 novel, I Am Legend, which introduced the idea of worldwide zombie pandemic of sorts. And the rest is history. We got brain-eating zombies, we got viral zombies, we got crazy zombies, aliens, zombies, and the list goes on and on. So today, I was thinking, with The Walking Dead and Z Nation arguably the two most popular zombie TV shows currently airing, or still in production I should say, they're on a bit of a break. So I thought I would list my top 5 favourite zombie movies. If you haven't seen them, might fill in the void while we wait for these shows to come back. So let's call this Jake's top 5 zombie movies list. So first on my list is the 2004 film Dawn of the Dead. And I know this is a remake of George A. Romero's 1978 film, but it's just so good I have to put it on my list anyway. It has one of the most intense opening scenes in a zombie movie I have ever seen, even to this day, except for one movie, which I'll talk about in a bit. It's shot beautifully, and although this movie is pretty corny at times, it is still just shot beautifully, and it's very intense. It also features fast-running zombies, which was kind of new at the time. I mean, not really, they had fast-running zombies in the 1985 film Return of the Living Dead, but I wasn't even born yet, so that doesn't count. They also had fast-running zombies in 28 Days Later though, that was 2002, so it wasn't the first movie to do it by a long shot, but it was certainly kind of new to me. But speaking of 28 Days Later, that's next on my list. 28 Days Later is probably to this day my favourite zombie movie, and it was my first introduction to zombies that can run. This was the first movie I think that introduced me to the concept of a viral zombie, at least confirmed in the film. These zombies were infected with the rage virus, so instead of them wanting to eat you, they just wanted to bash your brains in and rip you apart, because the rage virus brought out humanity's most inner hatred and violence within us. Because of this, a lot of people reject this movie as a zombie film. They say it's not a zombie film, it's a viral film, or a pandemic film, or an outbreak film. But I disagree. The original zombies were controlled by voodoo magic, and they didn't always want to eat you either. And even then, if they bit you, you wouldn't always turn into a zombie unless you got caught in the spell as well. So don't give me this crap about 28 days later zombies not being actual zombies. George A. Romero did not invent the zombie. His zombies took the original magic zombies and changed them slightly into infection zombies. 28 days later made them viral zombies that aren't hungry, just angry. The zombie genre has changed so many times over the years, and that's awesome. The term zombie is an umbrella term, and there are many different types of zombies under the umbrella. So just because these zombies didn't want to eat you, they still had one particular trait. If you got scratched, you would turn into them. So I guess the definition of a zombie is three things. Brain dead, if you get bit, you turn into them, and they want to eat you. I would say if you get at least two of those things, it's a zombie. So yeah, by any definition of the word zombie, 28 days later zombies are zombies. At least that's what I have to say. So speaking of which, I'm going to put the sequel, 28 Weeks Later, on my list as well. This movie was awesome. A lot of people didn't like this movie, but this movie by far has the most intense opening sequence like ever, with the great Robert Carlyle running for his life, running away from the rage-infected zombies. I know I said that Dawn of the Dead had the most intense opening scene ever, but I honestly believe that in 28 Weeks Later, that opening scene is equal to or better than the opening scene of Dawn of the Dead. I mean, it is just utterly terrifying. Then these rage zombies are just pure evil. Speaking of evil, next on my list, you guessed it, Resident Evil. Love it or hate it, when I first saw this film back in 2002, it blew my flippin' mind. I was a big fan of the game, so yeah, like everyone else, I was kind of weirded out with the direction they took. But with Marilyn Manson scoring the film and the insane futuristic action with the awesome zombies and the gunshots lining up with the double kick drum, I mean, this movie blew my mind. The CGI does not hold up, however. I mean, it's pretty not good. The rest of the movies weren't great either, but the first movie, yeah, it's on my list. And finally, the last on my list is, of course, Shaun of the Dead. Classic, hilarious, funny, violent, everything you need in a film. And it's the only zombie sort of comedy that I'm putting on this list. So, yeah, that was pretty good. I really liked it. So that's, I'm not saying anything else about this. Just, if you haven't seen it, of course you have, but if you haven't, check it out, because it's fucking hilarious. So that's it. Jake's top 5 zombie movies list. So what I'm going to do now is put together a little honorable mentions list. These are things that aren't my personal favorites, but are quite popular amongst other people and are of a higher budget. Like, they have a high production value, because as we know, zombie movies tend to be a little bit on the cheap side. It's usually sort of indie stuff and they just don't look great. So I've put together a short list of movies that look good at the very least. Day of the Dead 2005 shows what happened years after the infection. It has an interesting take on the genre as we see the zombies start to evolve into something else. They start gaining, dare I say, sentience? Train to Busan was a 2006 Korean film. Now, I wasn't really a fan of this movie, but many people are. It has good production value and is quite intense. As someone who has seen a lot of Korean films, I found this movie quite predictable, because for some reason all Korean directors have to put in this one particular trait. I don't want to spoil the movie, so I won't say anything else, but I pretty much knew what was happening, only because every Korean movie does this thing. You will know what I'm talking about if you watch Korean films. Zombieland 2009. Everyone loves this movie. Comedy and zombies, cool tips, great cast, and an overall fun ride. World War Z 2013. Now, book readers hated this film, but I quite enjoyed it. It also brought something new to the table, which was the way that the zombies would move. This sort of biomass, this fast running, like almost synchronized hive mind. I thought it was an interesting concept. Regardless, love it or hate it, it does have a high production value, so I'm putting it on the honorable mentions list. The Girl with All the Gifts. Again, book readers were not a fan, but it was a pretty interesting take on the zombie genre. The final act leaves a bit of a sour taste in your mouth, but the production value was high and it was at the very least unique. The Crazies 2010. Not really a zombie movie, but kinda, but not really. It's a small town sort of thrillery thing. I wouldn't really call this a zombie movie, but it is sort of like everyone's gone weird and they're chasing you or something like that. So I'll put it on the list. It's a pretty interesting film. It's been a while since I've seen it, but check it out anyway. Or don't. I don't care. Do whatever you want. What are your favourite zombie movies? Are viral zombies zombies, or do they have to want to eat you to be considered a zombie? Is Frankenstein a zombie? Is that Cranberries song actually about zombies? Who knows? But leave a comment below and let's get a discussion going. Thanks for watching everybody. I'll see you all on the next rotation.